Okay, so if you read my super long title, and if you've caught my previous Periscopes in the last couple of weeks leading up to this one, we are going to be talking about hopefully some helpful information tonight, but the agenda is going to be a little different than what I originally proposed to you guys. So a couple weeks ago, we talked about doing like a compare and contrast with TaxBot and QuickBooks. And I'm just gonna, so let's be real about that. I have used QuickBooks very minimally in the past, so I've been spending the past couple of weeks looking over it, trying to learn like the ins and outs of how it works, and I looked over TaxBot as well, and both programs have definite pros to them. A con for QuickBooks I feel like is the cost, so it's you know fairly pricey of a monthly cost. You know, in hindsight, the grand scheme of things, probably not that much, but if we're, you know, people starting out in our new business, really with any small business, it's a great way to track everything. Definitely. I'm not against it. I think it's a great program, but it's also a lot to learn, and it's a lot to kind of wrap your head around. And there's a lot of different like pieces, and the app looks totally different than the web version, which looks totally different than the software version. And I think that for those of us who are, I say those of us like it's me, it's not me. For those of you who are geared in the direction of, you know, understanding the way tax software and data entry software works, it's not in my wheelhouse. I can do it, I can learn it, and I can probably teach it out because I love to teach, if you guys did not pick that up already. But I just feel like it's not as user-friendly as would be wonderful for everyone across the board. So I kind of went a different direction with tonight. I hope you guys aren't mad at me. If people just really want to revisit that later on, we can. But I've had so many people reach out to me with questions about like, I just need something super simple to track everything. I want to track my expenses super simple. Okay, so here's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to actually look at some options for software that are a little bit easier, user-friendly, cheaper as well. So here's how it works. I'm going to flip the phone around. I'm going to show you guys my iPad, and we're going to I'm going to hold the phone while I'm showing you guys the apps on the iPad. I feel like during these live broadcasts, that's the easiest way to kind of show you guys what I'm doing. It does get a little shaky, so I apologize in advance that it might not be like the easiest, you know, thing to follow. It's less important that you can read everything on my iPad screen than it is that you just kind of see what everything looks like, so that when you go check it out for yourself, you kind of have an idea and you don't feel like you're lost in the woods. That being said, a lot of you do this already, but feel free to message me if you watch this and you decide to check out some of the programs that I'm going to be talking about and you have questions about them. I'm not I don't know everything about these programs. They're new to me and I've been researching them and falling in love with them, but I'm happy to kind of share what I do know about them with you guys and help you troubleshoot as best as I can, or at least direct you in the way that you need to go to find someone that can help you. Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to open my iPad here. There it is. Okay. So do me a favor as we're going through this, guys. Karen, yes, I'll be putting this up on YouTube for sure on my YouTube channel. Jen Heron LuLaRoe is my YouTube channel, Jen Heron LuLaRoe. But these are the two applications we're going to be looking at tonight. So these applications are both available on your phone and your iPad. I don't know, just throwing this out there off the bat, because I'm sure at some point the question will come up. I don't know 100% if these are available on Android devices. I wish I had looked into that and I didn't. It's been a little bit of a rough week for me, so my apologies if I'm not as prepared as I would like to normally be. I don't know if these are Android friendly. However, I know that at least one of them, the Expensify app, is also like accessible through web. Expensify, which we'll talk about second. We're going to talk about OnShelf first, but Expensify is actually a web-based program as well. So even if you can't get the app for some reason, you can also use Expensify through their website, expensify.com. So it's a super, super awesome program. But we're going to talk about OnShelf first. So this little guy with the check mark, I want to show you guys what the app looks like. So if you do want to download it on your device, just a heads up, this particular app I'll throw out right in the beginning is a $5 app. So it's not a free app, but it's $5 one-time fee. It's $5, but it's $5 one time, and then you have access to it. So I feel like it's definitely a worthwhile $5 well spent. That's less than my super fancy coffee that I get, that I treat myself to once in a while. So this is probably a better investment than the caffeine that I pay way too much for. So OnShelf, let's look at it. So I'm going to touch it and we're going to pull it up. So here's kind of what it looks like. Now let me tell you guys what it does, and then we'll actually see all, let me focus it here for you guys. We'll actually look at it, at some of the features. Now what this little scope that we're doing tonight is this is not going to be a full-fledged tutorial on how to use it. There are some great YouTube tutorials out there for this program, as well as the developer's website has a great tutorial video as well. I just don't want to waste y'all's time with that. I just want to show you some features and make you fall in love with it like I have fallen in love with it. So this is what it does. So OnShelf is an inventory tracking system. Oh, good to know, Emily. Okay, so Emily says OnShelf, she doesn't see OnShelf on Android, but yes to Expensify. So that's super helpful. So with OnShelf, this is a great program I found that I kind of stumbled upon after hours of research, you guys. So OnShelf is a really great program for tracking inventory. And let me tell you guys, it was not easy to find a program out there to track inventory in a way that was like user-friendly, intuitive, not like super complicated to set up, or, you know, that didn't have a million different in-app purchase add-ons that you had to purchase in order to make it even work for you. Like, it's a huge pain in the butt to even find something for small business that will work for you. So I'm super excited that I came across OnShelf. It has really great user reviews. The developer seems really on top of responding to user suggestions and kind of updating the app accordingly. So I will say this off the bat, when I first took a peek at it, I was like, okay, so it doesn't look like a high price application. Like, you know, it's not like super beautiful animation and, you know, graphics and everything looks super fancy. It's just pretty basic looking. And so at first I was like, I don't know about this, but once I started playing around with it, I totally fell in love. So this program will actually help you keep track of your inventory, not just so that you know at any one given point how much you have of each item, although it does that for you, but even more importantly, so that you can kind of run some reports throughout your year and see which pieces you're selling the most of, which styles you're selling the most of, which sizes you're selling the most of. I feel like the main use for me, the main benefit I see to this for me is being able to look back and say like, okay, so what's trending with my customers? You know, what months out of the year, I'm thinking long-term here, but like what months out of the year do I sell Monroe's the most? What months out of the year do my leggings not sell that well? You know, things like that, so that you can kind of look back and see that in one little snapshot. Yeah, so I'm super excited about that. So let's do this. Okay, so I held on to some tags from some of the items that I've purchased recently that have come in the mail so that we could play around with this and see what it does for us. So I'm going to show you guys in just a minute. Oops. Okay. So just a couple of things off the main screen. So now that we know the gist of what it does, a couple of things off the main screen. So one of the first things you would want to, that I noticed when I first came in here, was that there's a customer database here, which I love. So when you go into your customer database, this will actually, you can use this if you want to even keep track of your customers that have purchased from you. And then when you have your customers in this database here, it makes it really easy to track inventory when you're doing a sale based off of who bought what. So just to show you guys a couple of little features of the customer database, and then this will kind of play into some of the other features I'm going to show you. So if a lot of this doesn't make a whole lot of sense right off the bat, bear with me and we'll get to it. So here I just put my name in there and then a Jane Doe in there just for the purposes of this little trial and error. And so you can enter in some information for them. And then what I did actually was, you can see where I put November 2nd here. I actually put in a hypothetical birth date. That's actually my birth date in real life, but I don't know if it's Jane Doe's birth date in real life. So I put a birth date in, and this is where I did that. So I'm just going to tap to edit Jane Doe's information. So this is like what the screen looks like to actually enter in Jane Doe's information, but where it says Jane Doe, that was first name, last name, where it says November 2nd, that line actually said company. So if you're working with somebody, you know, if you were doing business to business sales, you might put in the company name for Jane Doe, but I repurposed, I'm all about repurposing things that I don't have use for. So I repurposed that line, and instead of using it for Jane Doe's company name, I used it for her birthday. And here's why. So there's other information there, of course, email, phone number, address, all of that if you want to keep track of that information. But another thing is you don't have to. So you don't have to enter in, you can enter in as little or as much information about your customer as you want to save in your database. I chose to put the birth date in there for this reason. So I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to go back out. So here's what's kind of cool. So I thought you could do this with anything. So if it's not birth date, it could be, you know, the anniversary of when they first purchased from you, or, you know, whatever. But I thought, wouldn't it be fun if once a month I generated a little report to show me all of my active customers who have birthdays in that month, and then maybe I sent them a little something to say, hey, happy birthday, thanks for being a customer, I really appreciate you. So obviously there's only 2 customers listed here, but obviously eventually I would want this to be filled up with customers. So you can actually come over here to the search field. So if you had a whole long list of customers, you could come to this search field if you've been entering in their birthdays, and then you could tap search, and then you have this little search field up here. So I could literally tap in here and type November if it was the month of November, and see, it automatically will just generate a report with the customers who have November in their saved information. So then I could see that list and say, oh, so these are all my customers that have birthdays this month, and send them a little hello or a little happy birthday card or something along those lines. So really you can use that however you want, but I just thought that was a neat little way to repurpose that particular tagline under the customer information field. So you can take that and run with it however you might want to. And then, so that's all I want to show you with the customer database. Again, we're not going to do a full tutorial, just, you know, a couple of ideas for you guys to kind of get a feel for how this program might be able to work for you. So we're going to go back out of there. So customer database, I like that that's integrated into here. So now let's look at how we might create and manage our, or let's say how we would manage our inventory. So manage product database. So when you touch here for the product database, I actually have a couple of pieces in here already. So you'll see the Azure and the Julia, because those are the 2 tags that I had that I was using to practice on this. So I'm actually going to delete one of these. Let's see if this will work. Yeah. So if you guys are iOS users, I don't know if you use that whole swipe to delete thing like on emails or text messages, but that feature also works in this application. I noticed that in a separate area of this application, so I'm glad it works in this area as well. So let's say you have a piece of inventory and you're like, oh no, I don't even sell that anymore. I don't want that in there. You can actually just swipe your finger left. Whoops. Try that again. Swipe your finger left and then delete. Delete. Awesome. Okay, so the reason I deleted it is because I want to show you guys this barcode. Okay, so let's say we wanted to create a new product. So let's say I'm selling Julia's currently, and now I want to add Azure's to my product database. I'm going to come up here to this little plus sign in the top corner. So, whoops. So here's all the information you can enter for the product. Again, you don't have to enter all of this information. You just use what you want. But here's something super cool. So you would, the first time you introduce a new item to your list of products, you're going to have to enter some of this information in, and then you're going to scan the barcode, which I'll show you in a minute, so that in the future, as you get more inventory in or as you sell more inventory and it goes out, all you have to do is scan that barcode and the system will recognize that that is that product. So we're going to enter in, what did I delete, Azure's or Julia's? I think I deleted Azure's. So we're going to put in Azure. Now, notice I put Azure in the brand and not in the product. I played around with this, and this is just a little tidbit if you go back and want to try this program out yourself. Putting the name of the piece in the brand, I found makes it easier to search for product names later on. So I'll just leave it at that. But I would recommend using the brand line for the name of your item. So the Azure skirt, I'm putting in the brand line. I'm going to leave the product line blank, but I do actually want to see my inventory categorized by sizes. So I'm going to put my size in there. So what is this called? A tag. The tag that I have is for large. So the item that I'm using tonight is for large. So we're going to do size large for this. Obviously, I'm not going to put color in because that's going to change. We just want the basic information for the Azure skirt. So large Azure. And now we're going to hit this little scan button right here where it shows the barcode in the scan. So I'm going to hit scan, and then I'm going to grab my, this is my Azure barcode. I'm going to put it back behind my camera there. Oh, I think it's about to do it. Wait. It really doesn't take this long, I promise you guys. There it is. Okay. Oh, thank God it didn't make a liar out of me. So look what it did. So this is super cool. So when I scanned it, notice this ticket says Azure-large. Then when I scanned the barcode, look at that. It says Azure large. Isn't that awesome? So it recognized that barcode and it entered that in to match with the information that I put up top. So now every time I scan any Azures that come in, so if I get a stock of 10 Azures that come in and any of the large ones, when I can just literally go through and scan all the barcodes in and it'll automatically add the large ones to my inventory under this category. So here's another cool feature. You have stock levels down here and you can enter in, you know, how many units your ideal. Yeah, you can totally manually enter them too. Yeah, absolutely. You can definitely manually enter anything you want to in here. The barcode thing comes in handy. Like when you're first setting up the system, you know, it's a little tedious to get it set up in terms of entering in all the information, but those barcodes come in handy later when you're just scanning things into your inventory. If anyone's worked in retail outside of doing this, you know, when you're scanning things into your inventory. Yeah, Emily, so here's the cool thing is that every Azure skirt, the barcode for it is exactly the same. Like all the large Azures barcodes are exactly the same. All the medium Azures are exactly the same. So when you've connected this one barcode to what you've entered in here, in the future, every time you scan in a barcode for a large Azure, it'll be the same scan as this one. I hope I said that in a way that makes sense. But yeah, so it will recognize it in the future. Cool. Okay, I'm glad that made sense. So then also with the stock levels, if you say, you know, like I want 15 of each size in what I carry, you can enter that information down here. So you can say like, let's say you have 10 in stock currently, but let's say your normal stock level that you want to try and maintain is 15. So you can enter that information in. I just left it at that, but you can also even put in like, okay, when do you want this system to alert you that it's time to reorder? I don't feel like I would keep so many of each item in stock that I would need to be reminded when to reorder. But you could use those features for it as well. And then over here, this is what's really important for some of the reports that you can do later. So you can put in a retail price of that item and then the purchase price, which would be the wholesale price. And then units per case is 1. You always want to keep that number 1 because that means the purchase price is per case if you see that in parentheses. So then you want only 1 item in each quote unquote case in order for this to run a report accurately. So here under retail price, just for the sake of this live broadcast, I'm just going to give this the price of $1, but anyone watching this on replay or live right now, that is not the accurate retail price of an Azure, so don't go asking any consultants to sell you an Azure for $1. I'm going on record, you are all my witnesses that Azures do not cost $1, but we're going to use that as an example tonight. And then for the purchase price, I'm just going to do, let's just go with a random, let's go with 50 cents. So let's say the wholesale price that the consultant purchases the Azure for is 50 cents and the retail price that they sell it for is $1, just for the sake of the example here. So then once I have that information in here, I'm just going to go up here and save. So I would save up there. And now, ta-da, now I have Azures in my product database. Azures and Julia's. Oh, no. So let's hit, I missed a spot. So we'll go back to the Azures real quick. The other thing you really want to make sure to do is tap where it says supplier. So if you see supplier here right under the scan, when you tap supplier, I've already entered in, and again, there's so much to this that I'm not going to go through the full tutorial, but there's an area on here where you can enter in who you're purchasing your items from, wholesale. For my supplier, I just put home office. You know, if you're another small business other than LuLaRoe and you purchase things wholesale from multiple suppliers, you can have multiple supplier options in there. For me, I'm just purchasing my goods from home office for my inventory. So I put my supplier as home office. That is important, again, for the generating of the information spreadsheets later that you might want to generate. So we'll put home office in there. We'll save that. Now you'll see Azure's, Julia's, they both come from home office. Here's the retail price of each, and then it shows the cost underneath. So your cost as the buyer, and then the retail price is what you sell it for. And then you'll see a quick glance of how many you have in stock, which is the quantity, and how much you want to stock of that item, which is the stock to number. Okay, so that's just a quick little rundown of like how you can enter in the features and benefits of entering in your items. So once you have them all entered in, you can do all kinds of stuff with this. So you can track sales here. You can create new orders. So even if, let's say, you are obviously, like, this isn't the program you're using to place your orders with Audrey, like you're doing your ordering right in Audrey, or if you are watching this and you are not a LuLaRoe consultant, you're doing your ordering in whatever program that your company orders from. However, if you want to keep track of your inventory, you would just come in here where it says create and manage orders, and you would just enter in like basic information when you're placing an order. So right now I have where it says home office, that's like who I order from. It's telling me that right now my stock levels are at a reasonable amount right now, but I can tap here and I can order whatever I want. So let's say my Azure's. So my goal is to keep 15. So it says in stock 10 of 15 units. And then over here, it shows you, okay, so if you want to stock up to the amount that you want to have in stock, this is how many you need to purchase on this order. So this is a great, like, if you're using this, you know, this is a great fast reference of like, okay, when I go into Audrey, like, what do I need to order of each item? Which I think is pretty cool. So it'll tell you that number right away, but of course you see the little plus and minus. You can, you know, add or take away from that number, and then it tells you your wholesale cost, and then it tells you the estimate of your cost to purchase that many items total. Okay, so that's kind of what that looks like, which is super handy. And then you can even, let's say you had tons of products. I don't think we're gonna have, like, as consultants, so many products that we couldn't see them, you know, maybe listed out on this one screen. But you can even do a search for a certain product. You can scan a barcode. So if you have a barcode, let's say you have an Azure barcode and you want to see like, okay, well, I just need to see like how many Azures I need to order real quick. You can scan an Azure barcode and it'll pull those up for you right away as well. So there's that for you. Let's go to cancel here. And we're going to go back home. So that's a quick little glance at how you would manage your orders. You can also track your sales. And this is cool because it tracks them across all your platforms. So you can keep track of all your sales from in-home pop-ups, from Periscope sales, from Facebook sales. You know, this is a one-stop shop to enter in all of those sales and use those to keep tracking your inventory. And if you've set up your product database correctly with all the pricing and all of that, this will even run reports for you on how much you've sold this month, how many items you've sold, how much dollar, you know, what dollar amount you've sold, and so forth. So I know a lot of people are always, you know, interested in that for cruise qualification and things like that. But here's what's really cool. So let's say you just finished a Facebook sale, right? So if you ran a report, let's say you ran a report in Leafy Peach, and so you have all that information right in front of you, you can come right over here and just quickly put that information in. It also will run a report for you by what each customer purchased. So if a customer purchased 5 items in your Facebook sale, you can see that, and then you can just come right over here and let's say select a customer. And so let's say Jen purchased, you know, several different items in a sale. So you could select Jen as the purchaser for this particular sale, and then you could scan barcodes. So like if you picked her items, let's say you finished the Facebook sale, now you've picked Jen's items off of the rack and you have them sitting in front of you, you could literally just hit scan barcode here, and you could scan one barcode after another. So let's say we scanned, let's try this again and let's hope it doesn't give me so much hassle this time. Ooh, that went faster. Okay, so let's say Jen purchased an Azure. So you could scan that Azure, right? And then you can literally just hit right here where it says scan next item. So you can scan next item, and then you can go to the next item that Jen purchased, and you can scan this Julia. Bam. And then once you've scanned everything that she purchased, you would just hit done, and then it automatically pulls that up for you. So there's what Jen purchased in that last sale of yours. Okay, so that would be like a quick way to just scan in inventory as you're mailing it out. So I love this because literally, like, as you're mailing something out to somebody, whatever, like however many items they purchased, you can just pull up their name. You can scan those items right from their tags and create that sale. And then once you're done scanning them, you would just hit confirm sale, and you're not actually selling from this platform. So when you hit confirm sale, you have a few options that you can like invoice the customer or print an invoice. You don't have to do that. You can just tap the first option there that says confirm sale, and then bam, that sale has been recorded. So that now has taken those two products out of your inventory automatically. So when we come over here to analysis and sales reports, this will actually show you. So for the month of April, so you see it says monthly unit sales for April. I have sold, based on this tutorial, and what I was playing around with earlier, I've sold 6 Julias and 1 Azure for the month of April, nothing for the month of March previously. And then you can also tap revenue, and this will show you for the month of April what your revenue is, any discounts that you applied, because when you record a sale, you can also discount the item. Which I know somebody asked me that earlier, like, can you track what you gave away or discounted? So you can discount that item. So it'll show you all of that if you charged for shipping, sales tax, all of that. And then it'll show you like what your cost was for those items and what your profit was. And then it'll run a little graph report for you as well. So just super helpful information. There's so much you can do here. I mean, so many different reports. That's just like the tip of the iceberg. But you can run all kinds of different reports to see, you can even run a report to see like how much each customer has ever bought from you. So you can see like who your, super loyal customers are. So if you want to send them a little something special, I mean, there's so many things you can do with this, and it's so awesome. And then you can even go, like, you can just go up here to your current inventory and do like a quick glance again of how much you have of each item in stock. So if you know, like, let's say you have a random day where you're like, I don't know what I want to do on Tuesday as far as the sale goes. Let me look in my inventory and see what I have currently, and maybe do a sale around the items that I have the most of or the least of, however you want to do it. So you can go here and kind of look at that as well. You can open these up, and then under each one of these categories, you can also see sales history for them, order history for them. It's just so awesome. And I just love that it's super basic. It's not like there's not a lot of frills to it, but if you're somebody who just really wants to have a visual idea of exactly where you are with your inventory, and not just like, okay, how many pieces do I have right this second, but how many pieces have I sold this year so far? If you're a goal setter, if you're somebody that likes to set goals and say like, I want to sell more over the next quarter than I did the last quarter, this program I think would be really useful for that, to help look at all that information and track it. Okay, there we go. So OnShelf, that's what it looks like if you want to look for it in the app store. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Expensify. So we mentioned OnShelf was a $5 app, but then it's paid for, and then you can use it to your heart's content and not have to pay any more for it. Expensify is a free app, and there's lots you can do with it without paying a dime, but then there's an option to pay to kind of upgrade the features in it. So we're going to look at Expensify real quick, and Expensify is available on iOS devices and Android devices. And then also it has a website that you can work from as well. This is gonna do some really cool stuff for you. So this is gonna let you track your mileage. It's gonna let you track your traveling expenses. It's going to let you track all of your purchase receipts for anything you purchase. And here's something that's really cool. If you lose a receipt and you forgot to track it, if it's under $75, you can link your account, your bank account or your credit card account that you made that purchase from. And Expensify will create an IRS, what did they call it? An IRS friendly or IRS approved, that's what I'm looking for. They will create an IRS approved receipt based off of your purchase information from your bank account or credit card account, as long as the purchase is under $75. So this is going to also do a lot of cool things for you. So with the mileage tracking, it will also let you, so you have like the trips option down here. So when you hit a trip, you can import your itinerary, which is super cool. So for anyone going to convention coming up in a couple of months, or if you're going to an Inspire date and you're traveling for it, you can enter in your trip information, and this will automatically generate a suggested expense based off of your itinerary. This will also track your mileage, and not just like it will from the phone app, so not from the iPad app, but they all sync together. But from your phone app for Expensify, you can either have GPS tracking on, so that when you're driving to and from pop-ups or driving to or from an event, it will track your mileage that way. Or you can even, this is so cool, you can even snap a photo from the app of your mileage, of your odometer when you're leaving your house, and then of your odometer when you get back from your trip or get to where you're going, and it will create a mileage expense based off of your odometer reading, which I think is super handy. Or you can even enter in your starting address and ending address, and it will create something that way as well. So a lot of ways to track your mileage. Okay, so I actually did enter in my purchases today. I made a large purchase on Amazon today. Super excited about that. Ariana, if you're in here still, I messaged Ariana right away. I was like, holy crap, this is getting serious. I just bought a bunch of stuff on Amazon. Okay, so there's a couple of ways you can enter in your expenses, which make it super easy. I know, Emily, it's so exciting. I got a lot of fun stuff. They make it super easy to track your expenses in several different ways. So let's say you go to the store and you do have a receipt and you want to just manually enter your expense, and you want to take a snapshot of the receipt so that you can toss it. You would hit this little plus sign here, and you would do an expense, bam, and then you can enter in the information manually, and you'll see in the top right corner there the little place to take a photo, and that'll take a snapshot of your receipt right here in the app, and then you would just enter in the information that you want to enter in. This is a really handy thing if you have a receipt that has multiple items on it that are not all related to your business. So for instance, I did go to Target today. I purchased a beautiful mirror for my LuLaRoe, and then I also purchased a razor that I desperately needed. So that razor is not a business expense, but what I could do is I could manually enter my expense, take a snapshot of that receipt. Like I actually did this with my Target receipt. So let's look at it. So this is exactly how I did my Target receipt today. And then right down here, we're going to open that up real quick. So here's my Target expense. So the total on my receipt, let's see if it'll, yep. You guys definitely will not be able to see what's on here, but the total on my receipt was $89.11, but only $74.89 of that was related to my business. So I took a snapshot of the whole receipt. I put in there that it was from Target, and then I entered in the dollar amount that was related to my business purchases on that receipt. I hope that makes sense. And then I just made a little note that this was for the standing mirror for my LuLaRoe, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So that's one way to enter in your expenses, but obviously that's like manual style, so it does take a little bit more effort. If you have an e-receipt, so you purchase something online like from Amazon or wherever, and so you get a receipt emailed to you or an invoice emailed to you, or let's say you have a bunch of receipts. So let's say you want to wait all week long, you're doing a bunch of new purchases for your business and you're getting a lot of paper receipts, and instead of having to go through and manually enter all of them, what you can do is you can scan them. I recommend Scanner Pro for that. It's a free app. We talked about it in one of my long time ago scopes. Scanner Pro is a really great free app for scanning receipts on your mobile device. So you can scan all those receipts, and then instead of having to enter them in here, you can just email them to receipts@expensify.com. So you can email them a bunch of receipts all at once, and they will literally generate those into individual line item expenses here in your application. And then you can also do that with online receipts. The last option to put your receipts in, instead of having to manually enter them or email them in, the final option with getting your receipts into your expense report is something called Smart Scan. So I actually stopped my Smart Scan. So you'll see something up here that says Smart Scan failed. Here's why. When you're using the free version of this, you get 10 Smart Scans per month, and you'll see what that is in just a second. You can pay for it's $5 a month to pay for the unlimited version of this application. So $5 a month I feel like is not bad at all. Two big features of the paid for version of this app are, one, you have unlimited Smart Scans, which basically let you just take a snapshot of your receipt as soon as you leave the store, and then you don't have to enter any information in. The system just reads the receipt, enters in all the information for you, and you just like verify that it looks okay, and that's awesome. So in the free version, you get 10 of those per month. In the paid for version, you get unlimited of those per month, so that's cool. And then the other thing that this does with the $5 a month paid for version is it lets you export your information to QuickBooks, so that's kind of cool. I feel like I could just get away with using this software, and I feel like, you know, my accountant would be perfectly happy with me just showing him these reports. So we'll look over at the reports real quick and see what they look like. So you can generate reports based on information, data that you've entered. So you can categorize your receipts. Like if you say like, you know, you can categorize, you can run a report just for travel expenses. So you would just start a new report and label that, you know, travel for the year, and it would generate a report for all of your expenses related to your travel. And then like I have a report started for startup expenses, and so far I have $513 in there. That's going to jump when my Dymo receipt comes through. But so you could totally, I feel like you could totally just use this and turn that in, and it's got all the information right inside of these reports for you. But a lot of times, like, you know, people like things in spreadsheet format, and so I think sometimes for those purposes, maybe using something like QuickBooks might be helpful. Plus, if you use QuickBooks already for like your household uses, so if you track all of your household tax information through QuickBooks, and you wanted to use this specifically for your business and then just export it to QuickBooks, you could do that as well. Okay, so OnShelf was the inventory tracker. Expensify is the expense tracker. Really good reviews on both of these, OnShelf and Expensify. So if you have an iOS device, I would definitely check those two out. If you have an Android device, I think Emily or somebody, I forget who, said that they looked it up for us real quick earlier, and OnShelf is not showing up on Android, but Expensify is. And then also Expensify has a web-based version, so you can actually just access it right from your web browser as well. I hope that's been helpful for you guys. I know that as these usually do, that was kind of a long-winded explanation of those two, but at the end of the day, you know, if you can gain a little bit from that and use that, then I'm a happy girl that I could show you guys some stuff that I found. And I have to give credit to so many of you that have like reached out to me and made suggestions about different pieces of software to look into, and you know, made suggestions of what you're interested in learning about. I love getting emails from people that are like, hey, I'm kind of looking into the software, but I don't really know what to look at. So will you look at it for me and do a scope about it? And I love those. Like, please, by all means, don't feel, I always get those and they're like, oh, I'm so sorry I'm asking you this. I love that. So if you ever come across something that you're like, is this the best piece of software I can use, or is there something better out there? By all means, message me, email me, and I will, if it's something that I think it would be beneficial to a lot of us in the business, then I'll do it, man. I love doing this stuff. I love looking into it. It helps me, and I'm glad it helps you guys too. So thank you. Okay, have a wonderful night, you guys. Great to see y'all again. We'll talk soon.